Hello and welcome to an episode of The Grafter Show. My name is Shabir, and in this episode I'm going to talk through some lessons you can take away from the recent hit Marvel movie Avengers Infinity War. So these tips will be stuff that you can use whether you're an entrepreneur or simply someone trying to achieve their own goal. Now this is definitely a different style of episode that I haven't done before, so I'd appreciate any feedback that you have. You can tweet at me or message me on Instagram, both accounts are just The Grafter Show, or you can email me at info@thegraftershow.com. Oh, and of course, before we get started, this episode absolutely contains spoilers for the movie, so if you haven't already watched it and don't want to hear about the plot at all, then pause this episode, go watch the movie and come back before you give the rest a listen. Okay, so let's get started. I've noted down 6 great lessons that jumped out to me that you can take away from the movie, and I'll be talking through each of them, giving examples straight from the movie itself. So the first lesson, don't be afraid to ask for help. And this is a very clear theme in the movie that to defeat Thanos, the evil supervillain, the heroes have to band together. And the scene that stuck in my mind is when Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, has to call Steve Rogers or Captain America for help. And he somewhat hesitates due to past differences, but I think had he not been disturbed by other events in the movie, I'm pretty sure he would have made the call to Captain America. There are also other moments as well in the movie with random team-ups like Iron Man, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange and Guardians of the Galaxy all teaming up later in the movie to fight Thanos. So maybe you're trying to get your business off the ground and you're currently trying to do it all by yourself, or maybe you're facing some challenging tasks even in your day job right now that you're doing solo. I think in either of those situations you shouldn't really be afraid to ask for help. You should definitely look outside of your immediate vicinity, not thinking that you're the only person who can do all of this stuff, and actually reach out to other people who might be able to help you. Lesson number 2, don't give up. So this one sounds a bit cliche or an obvious one, but the movie has so many recurring moments of not giving up. And the one that really stuck out to me, and the obvious one, is Thor's whole plot in the movie. He's pretty much, again spoilers like I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, but he's pretty much defeated by Thanos right at the beginning of the movie, and then comes up with a strategy to try and defeat Thanos, and he persists in creating his ultimate weapon, and then to come and join the Battle of Wakanda before fighting Thanos. And the Battle of Wakanda itself is also a great example of the movie of not giving up. Clearly our superheroes in that battle are completely outnumbered, but at no point is there any sign of them giving up. They keep persisting and they keep going on. The same can probably be applied to business or trying to achieve a goal of yours. It may seem as impossible to try and achieve that goal or try and get your business off the ground or get your business to a point of success, but persistency will definitely get you there, so don't give up. And think about it, if Steve Jobs had given up when he was initially making computers in a garage, the world probably wouldn't have got Apple. Lesson number 3, embrace uncomfortable scenarios. And I love the pairing of Thor with Guardians of the Galaxy in this movie. I think it resulted in some fantastic humor and is probably some of the highlight standouts in terms of comedy from the movie. And it was probably a completely unlikely coupling. You wouldn't imagine the pretty serious and focused Thor joining up with Guardians of the Galaxy and getting along. But what did they do? They actually found a common goal and focused on that common goal instead of focusing on their differences. In this world, we far too often focus on the differences and make excuses for things not to work. But I think you need to embrace yourself in those uncomfortable situations that you may find yourself in and just focus on the goal. The superheroes in Infinity War get closest to victory when they end up embracing some of these uncomfortable situations and they just focus on their single objective of defeating Thanos. Lesson 4, you will fail. So the movie actually starts off with Thor and the Hulk being defeated, and that's a pretty big failure since they're pretty much the strongest Avengers. Now that doesn't mean they give up. Well, maybe Hulk somewhat does in a way, but that's probably a different story since Bruce Banner himself keeps going. But what stood out to me is that they didn't just try the same thing again, which they probably could have. They could have just gone back to the way they were and just started trying to defeat Thanos in the same way Thor had done before, which obviously didn't work. But we probably see this in the business world all too often, that people try to do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. that clearly doesn't work. In this movie, Thor actually comes up with a new strategy, and even Bruce Banner actually gets to try something different. He, instead of relying on the Hulk, he actually uses the Hulkbuster Iron Man armor that was created specifically to defeat Hulk himself, but that's actually how he decides to try and face Thanos and try and face Thanos' army. Lesson 5. Sacrifices must be made. There were quite a few sacrifices in this film, I guess, starting with Loki, then Gamora, and even Doctor Strange handing over the Time Stone to Thanos in exchange for Tony Stark's life. But you know what? Doctor Strange must have seen that making that sacrifice leads them to that one chance of success out of 14,605,000 or whatever it was. So I guess when your friends are going out and having a good time and you need to stay back to get some work done for your business, accept that sacrifices have to be made for the time being. I guess if you save your cash now, for example, instead of buying a new car or fancy clothes, then so be it, because you know that you need to invest your money into something right now which is going to be invaluable to achieving your goal. So remember what your goal is and just focus on that, and just be prepared to make some of these sacrifices. Lesson 6. Expect the unexpected. Now, near the beginning of the movie, Tony Stark is discussing his future family plans with Pepper, and then Doctor Strange just comes out of a portal out of nowhere to warn him about Thanos. And actually, in that conversation, Tony Stark essentially says he's keeping the Iron Man suit just in case, because he's preparing for the unexpected, or he's preparing for the worst. Now, this is the same thing when you're trying to achieve a goal. You will run into things that are unexpected. I don't think I've ever spoken to anyone who said everything went absolutely to plan when they're trying to achieve a certain goal or when they're trying to build a business. Something has always popped up and they've had to work around those things. If you expect that there are going to be unexpected things that pop up, you can work out strategies to try and get around them. Dwelling on them just wastes time and can often even get you in a negative mindset. So the best thing for you to do is to overcome that hurdle and just swiftly carry on, progress to what your goal is. Remember, the focus should always be your end goal. So that's it. That's my 6 takeaway lessons that I got away from watching Avengers Infinity War, and I hope you found them useful. If you enjoyed this episode, please do let me know via Instagram or Twitter, or even email me at info@thegraftershow.com. Remember, you can find all of the episodes for free on thegraftershow.com, or just search on your favorite podcast app or on iTunes for The Grafter Show. Thanks for listening.